You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Hey everybody, welcome to Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, Personal Development with a Business Plan. And, you know, we're on what, episode 136? And the $1 Million Mindset, think like the wealthy do. So we're going to get into a little bit of that and see what happens. But, you know, look, this show's all about thinking and doing better, because we all want better. You know, it doesn't matter whether you want better health, better fitness, better finances. You know, we all want something better, right? And we're going to get into a little bit about that today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click that notification button. You'll learn when we're on, usually around about the same time every week. And of course, I'm here with my good friend, Joey, the $1 Million Difference Maker, Maka Unga. Who better to talk about the $1 Million Mindset, right, than Joey? So we can learn about that. But don't forget, you can find Joey. Let's have a look. You can find Joey here on his Facebook page, right? Joye Maka Unga, learn about what he's up to. Look at this, you know, on the front cover of the CEO Weekly magazine. Unbelievable, you know. Brilliant. And don't forget, Joey has an event coming up on the 2nd of May. Is it the 2nd of May? It is the 2nd of May, isn't it, Joey? Yes, May 2nd.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can go and see Joey here. He's one of the speakers at the Elevate event. So go and check him out. And also you can go and find Joey here on his business website. Links are in the description. And again, there's a contact form there. Just fill out your name, email, contact number, best time to call, and sure Joey will reach out and you can learn more about what Joey is doing. Why is that not on the? Hold on a second. Where's that gone? I thought I had that shared on the. I thought that was on the page. Share screen. Yes. Share. So you can find Joey here, right, on his business page. Like I say, contact form at the bottom. Fill it out, press submit, and of course, check him out here on his Elevate site, right, where you can get tickets to go and see him if you're in Sydney or in that area. Go and check him out. Joey, say hello.
Hey, good day, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, each and every one of you beautiful people. And, I have to say, I'm so happy and so grateful every time that we have this program. I'm glad that we make the decision to, do it, show up and, start from the ground. We, it's about 2 years now, Mike, something like that. Hey?
Must be. Yeah, must be.
Yeah, so when we came to with the ITs, and we realized everything happened in life, whether it's physically, spiritually, it all start from an idea. And the job that we work on it's a start from an idea. The company we represent, so someone ideas, and even the clothes and the gap and the watch that we have, it's all start from an idea. Someone come up with an idea and then we all benefit from it. And I think when we start this program, this episode of this podcast, Mike and myself have an idea how can we make an impact in this world. And thanks for the social media, we know we can expand. Bob Proctor used to say the world is so small when the internet was introduced because people can talk face to face, can reach in a second. If I pick up the phone and click on Mike's messenger WhatsApps, straight away that my frequency will align with his frequency, and I can see him on the broadcast, and I can see you, and you can see me too. So if you're here watching it on live or watching on later, there must be a reason why you're here. And I truly believe, and Mike will agree with this, someone has attracted you to this podcast because you must be looking for something. And we all looking for something. And and hopefully our program and what we do, what we share, our story or our experience, the books that we read, the program that we watch together, could help you answer for the question or the solution you after in life, because everyone is looking for solution in life, whether it's health, well-being, physically, financially. Everyone's looking for solution. How can you find the solution? By listening, by reading, by watching something, by listening to invest in a mentor, leadership, a coach, or found an accountability partner, people like and trust, a report. So, Mike, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I don't have the right word in Tongan, but the Tongan people say, when they acknowledge someone, they knew they didn't have the money, but all they have through their spirit, they say malo, which means malo in Tonga, thank you. And I just want to say to you, malo, thank you for your time. Thank you for your vision that enable us to be here every week and add value and so share with other, the passion that we have, the ambition that we have, that if we can say something or share something that add value to someone else, you and I knew straight away that our legacy, our name will show up in their testimony because we make an impact. And that's the whole idea we do this podcast, is to make an impact, especially a positive impact or increasing impact in other people's life. And if you can learn something from our program, from our episode, from episode 1 to 136, our wish for you is for you to pay it forward. Share with other people, like it, subscribe it, and invite other people to take a look. They might be learn something from me, from Mike, and also the books that we share, the program that we share, the TikTok or the little clips that we share, even the one that we play in the beginning and in the end of this program. Believe us when we say that, because that little video have been changed our life for the good. And welcome to the show. And Mike, thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. When I'm get away, I'm carried away. I love talking, but I learn in life to listen more. So excuse me, audience and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our podcast 136 tonight. Over to the studio to Mike McGillian.
Joey, thank you. And, I'm very grateful that you're here too. So thank you very much. Now, so this is like, the $1 million mindset, think like the wealthy do. Now, I've got a whole bunch of videos that we probably won't get through all of them. I'm certain of it. And, but I was thinking about, Think and Grow Rich, that book. I was thinking about The Science of Getting Rich, which is a book I love. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely adore that book, Science of Getting Rich. It's only a very small book, short read, 3-4 hours max. But let me see if I can get a video here, where Bob kind of explains a little bit better, Bob Proctor. Let me see. I've got dozens of them. Let me see. I want to get the right one. I might not get the right one, and if I don't, that's fine.
An image of something in my mind, I'm quite capable of building a physical replica of it in my world. Thinking of why you can't do something is never going to do you any good. If I build an image of myself as being prosperous, I can become prosperous. What we want to understand is that's a non-physical side of ourself that's doing that.
So we were talking about this a lot, Joey, over the last couple of weeks, that you become what you think about, right? And then Bob goes on to talk about this. Listen to this.
You actually want. I think James Allen put it very well in his...
Hold on. I want to remove this. I want to add this. Yeah.
Attracting what you actually want. I think James Allen put it very well in his little book, As a Man Thinketh. He said, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Now think about that. If you want to attract what you want, you've got to see yourself already with it. You've got to understand that you've already got it. First of all, clearly understand this. Nothing is created or destroyed. That means everything's already here. If not in one state, certainly in another. Where did the iPhone come from? The iPhone came from a series of ideas that individuals entertained in their mind. And they kept holding the idea until the stuff came to them that enabled them to build the phone. The stuff had already been here. Nothing is created or destroyed. All science, all theology teach that. If nothing's created or destroyed, everything that is already here.
Excuse me. So what do you think about that, Joe? You attract what you are.
Oh yeah, for those of you that haven't heard about the movie The Secrets, and Bob Proctor is one of the main features of that movie, and I think it was well known for the philosophy of law of attractions. You are who you think about all day long. If you think about scarcity, lacking, not enough, don't be surprised it will show up in your doorstep. But if you think about prosperity, abundance, you will start to attract those things. You will talk to people that will already have abundance and prosperity. And I think, Mike, that's one of the things that we like and attracted to this kind of philosophy, because that's how it changed our life. And you share, at very young age, you told your father you're going to be replaced one of your boss role or position. And your dad must be thinking at times, son, come on, man. It's impossible. You get ahead of your life. But that's what you put in your, it's a seed. That idea, have you planted with confidence, but at that time, you don't know how you can get there. But after a few years, you replace that image that you built in your mind by reality. You become you replace the position of the person that you told your dad. So it's all start from what we planted in our mind. And and I have to say, be careful what you planted in your mind. If you plant a negative seed, it will produce a negative seed. If you plant a poison seed, it will produce poison result in your life. If you plant toxic, it will show up as a toxic plant in your life. But if you plant a abundant and prosperity and successful mindset, you know, by time, not going to be happen overnight, it will start to show up in your life. And I think we are, Mike, while you were introduced about the program tonight, and something come to my mind that, and I want to share it. It's in regard to the topic tonight, the $1 million mindset. And I said to myself, are we have the right? Are we have the title to discuss this? Because most of the time, when we think about the $1 million mindset, a lot of people think I haven't earned $1 million to talk about the $1 million mindset. But Mike, yes, you and I have been learned that we were born with the $1 million mindset. And Bob Proctor said it's always been here. That idea is you were born with it. You were born rich. You were born with the $1 million mindset. But it's up to you whether to unveil that gift that God has given you. And I think, Mike, we can talk about it because in paper, we are $1 million, and if we sell everything that we have in life, and you and I have the 6 figures or 7 figures, in asset. So I'm sharing this because it's like exactly what Bob said. Everything was not destroyed or being created. It's always been here. And that's the secret that not many people realize. You were born with success mindset, but it's all up to you because we have a choice. And that's the difference between us and animal kingdom. They don't have a choice. The tree can grow as taller as it meant to be. That the dog can bark as loud as he meant to be. But the human being have a choice whether we run fast or jump higher or give more or do more or be more in life. And that's the secret. That's the secret. You attract who you think about. What you plan in your mind, you will manifest it through the way you feel about it, and you go out and do something about it that make the result that you really, really want in life.
Joey, that makes a lot of sense. And you talk about intentionally acting, on the things that you want, but that starts with the thought first. And when I think about what you were just saying, especially when you were talking about how for myself that when I was working in construction, 15, 16, 17 years old, telling my dad that I want this position here. And, my dad kind of chuckling and saying, we don't get jobs like that, son. Do you know what I mean? That's not, we don't get those types of jobs. And, to then 3 years later, being in that position, there's no doubt. And I think we can all do it, Joey. I think we can all look back on our lives and see key moments where we were acting and walking and talking like that thing that we wanted before we got it. That's what I was doing at that time. I didn't know I was doing it. I was what would you call an unconscious competent. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know I was doing it, but I was doing it. When I look back now, I can say, before I got that opportunity, I was acting like I already had it. Like when I was out on site, I was behaving like that person would. Do you know what I mean? Even though I wasn't in that position, I was behaving like that. I was talking like that. My ideas were like that. My vision was like that, on site. And, the way that I was conducting myself, and then I remember it's crystal clear. I just met Kate. I just met my wife, we weren't married that time, like I was like 20, she was like 19, I was just coming up to my 21st birthday. And we only met like 2 or 3, maybe 2 months before. And I was in the bathroom having a shave. And, my dad came in with the phone and he said, "Oh, son, Tony Lever's on the phone for you." And Tony Lever was, a contracts manager for a company up in Manchester, about 120 miles away. And it's like 7:30 at night on a Sunday. And he's like, "There's an agent's job up here in Manchester for you if you want it, starting tomorrow." And I'm like, "Yep, no problem." Went out with Kate, told her. Next morning I was up in Manchester. Do you know what I mean? On that job. And we had and I was driving up and down at that stage, because, obviously my desire to be with Kate was just as much as my desire to have, that opportunity. And that was the beginning of it. But I think we can all look back, on our own lives and see times when those opportunities came up and you were ready for them. Do you know what I mean? You were prepared for them. You had visualized it in your mind. So, so I think we can look back and see. But then the other thing that you were talking about, or that triggered in my mind, was, ignorance versus knowledge. Like, decide what you really want. Sometimes we don't do that. It's just ignorant not to do that. It's just ignorant to settle and say there's nothing else that I can do. Instead of going out and searching for the knowledge to do something or to change something. So I think it's one thing to be ignorant, like, because I don't know everything about everything. Do you know what I mean? But it's one thing to be willfully ignorant. Do you know what I mean? To not want to find out or not want to change. Like, if I keep saying, if I'm fat and I keep saying I want to be thin, I want to be thin, I want to be fit, I want to be thin, but I don't change my habits, my eating habits, that's just pure ignorance. Do you know what I mean? Like, nothing's going to change. So, like, there's, the million, and I agree with what you're saying, that we can, we have to have that, if you attract what you are, you have to have that $1 million mindset first. You have to have it first. Do you know what I mean? Is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's going to take a lot of, telling yourself a little lie, to begin with. That's what the gold card's for. And that's why Think and Grow Rich is a great book, right? From that perspective, because it does that. It sets you up to actually get your mind ready, to get you ready for all of those things that you want. And you can have them. Like, you're a perfect example, of someone who is willing, absolutely willing, right, to do all the things that you needed to do to provide for your family and everything else like this. You were so willing, almost to your own detriment, to serve and to share your time, with everybody, trying to make everybody else's life better, which almost cost you your own life, And then there was a change, and it wasn't one of selfishness. It was one of more of forgiveness, to yourself, for all of the things that you'd done in the past. Do you know what I mean? The way that you'd been operating. And there had to be a change, there had to be a shift. And that shift was for the better. It wasn't for worse, it was for the better. Do you know what I mean? So, like, when I think about one of the first things, that you did, was join the Bob Proctor Academy. Do you know what I mean? It was one of the first things that you did for change. That's not ignorance, that's seeking knowledge. It's finding a mentor, finding someone. So, like, there's no doubt that, the millionaire mindset starts with making a decision, doesn't it? Like, this is what it's all about. It starts with just making that decision, that you're going to change. And then, like, I think that book, Think and Grow Rich, is a great book to start with. But I've got a little video here, Joey, which summarizes the science of getting rich. Right now, when we go through these, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I love that. I love that. Right. So we'll just quickly watch this.
The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, a classic guide to wealth creation. Lesson 1, think in a certain way. Wattles teaches that positive thinking is crucial. He says we should focus on what we want, not what we don't want. This helps attract success. Lesson 2.
Right, lesson 1, Joey, think in a certain way, right? So thinking positive, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Give me your quick thoughts quickly.
I think this one here, if you have that kind of mindset, most of the time you talk to a lot of people, and especially the company I represent, in the company you represent, it's most of the people they focus more on what they not, they don't want, and that's why that kind of limiting belief or limiting that mindset have pull them back or hinder the way the mind is want to express. Our mind is like a rubber band. It's always want to express in some way to express and expand. And if you do expand your mind, they said it won't come back to the same. Yeah, I like because I knew you like this topic, so I want you to touch on that
Well,
one.
do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you this video. We're just going to jump to another video because this is exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is on the negative side of life. Understanding is on the positive side. Don't worry comes from ignorance. Understanding comes from knowledge, but you got to study to get it. Doubt and worry are a psychic disease. It's an intellectual exercise. They're using their intellectual factors to build a negative idea, and that's all they see. They take and internalize that, and they get emotionally involved with it. It goes from doubt, worry to fear. They've emotionalized the doubt or worry, turns into fear. The fear is in the emotional mind, and the emotion must be expressed through the only instrument it can be expressed through, the physical body. So it moves the body into a state we call anxiety.
So, Joe, that's kind of what you were talking about there. Like you were talking about when you're focusing on what you don't want, you kind of, you end up attracting more of what you don't want. You end up attracting more worry, more stress, more anxiety, and then you wonder why you've got this rash on your arm, or, because those emotions are expressing themselves. And, like when you think about what we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, when we're talking about the subconscious mind and, having those thoughts, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about, these little kind of sensors, these little antennas where this energy is flowing to and through you, and you have the ability to, to take on a thought or reject a thought, whatever it is, when you have these negative thoughts, yes, you can feel them and say, right, okay, I feel that, but I'm not going to accept it. We're going to do something different. Do you know what I mean? We're going to face that problem in a different way. We're going to tackle that problem head on. We're going to be courageous instead of fearful, because if you allow that, that thought to penetrate your mind, certainly your subconscious mind, and then to wrap emotion in it, worry, anxiety, fear, all of these things of what may happen, you're going to drive yourself fucking insane. Do you know what I mean? You're going to paralyze yourself, So, look, we all have challenges. I think the more successful you become, people think you don't have any challenges. The truth is, the more successful you become, you have bigger challenges. Do you know what I mean? Different problems, bigger problems, So, but it's fascinating when we're talking about this mindset of not allowing those things in. Yes, you've got to accept them. You've got to recognize them. You can't just put them away, and suppress them, because they can't be suppressed. They'll be expressed in some way. Do you know what I mean? And usually it's through procrastination, lack of action, do it tomorrow, all this kind of stuff, because you're afraid someone's going to say no to you, maybe, or you're afraid of something, like whatever it is. But so anyway, the first one, think in a certain way, think positive. It's hard to do all the time, isn't it? It is. There's no doubt. I'm not going to say it's easy, but you want to be doing it at least once a day, right?
Yeah.
Act in a certain way. It's not enough to just think positively. Waddle stresses the importance of taking action. Do things that move you towards your goals every day. Lesson 3.
Okay, so number 2, act in a certain way, right? You talk about this. Intentionally act on the thing that you want.
Oh yes, Mike. You have to put into action what you think about. You know, someone have a dream, and wake up and never act on that dream, it won't happen. And
Yeah.
and we do a lot of thinking, and I hope it will more positive thinking than negative thinking. A lot of people got on in the weed. My one of my mentor, Eric Worre, said, a lot of people got in the weed of thinking negative, and then because they didn't want to do something about what they think about it, reading a book, get a mentor, get a coach, or get into action. Ignorance and fire, and it's well known in our profession. A lot of people came in, they don't have the skill, they don't have the experience, but they just go out with excitement, knowing if I can do something, something will change. It's funny. Today I was invited to a community church to share my story, to share the opportunity that God has been blessing me with after the morning service. And I share that with the people, and I said to people, for things to change, you got to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to prepare and change come from action. And we come to listen to word of God, and we call ourselves as a Christian or people of faith. But if we don't go out to the world and act, be, and do like a people of faith, people won't believe what we share with them. you know you got to be intentionally. And one of the things that I do when I got invited to speak on maybe a community, a social community, like the pickleball community, the tennis community. And this year, Mike, has been a blessing for me because God has opened a lot of doors for me in a different community. I met someone, and he introduced me to someone, and then someone said, we need you to come and speak on this um, Amen. We want you to bring your opportunity and present it while we're playing sport. And it's allowed me to share my story, share the blessing that I have been encounter or accumulate in life with other, and my wish for them that hopefully they see the result that I have. And I always share with people, I'm not sharing the blessing I have to impress you, but I'm sharing with you to make an impression upon you. Because if you act, if you think and act in a certain way, guess what happens? Things start to change. And Bob used to say to us, you need a microscope. When you make a committee decision this year, after a few years, 5 years, 10 years from now, you need a microscope to look back at yourself when you first start. And I think we are living proof of this. When we first start our podcast, we need a microscope now to look at how we did at that time. We first started. It was not perfect. It was like we come with fear and kind of like holding back. This is English is my second language, and I asked the question, how can I present with Mike? Because English is my second language, but I intentionally do it because I want to make an impact. I want to be part of your mission, your vision to make an impact globally. And technology has been allow us, because one day when we passed away, our video has stayed on for generation, because you come up with that idea, and we both collaborate and work together on that idea, and we act on a certain way, and we act intentionally, because whether it's going to be benefit us or not, but we want to make an impact. We want to change people's life. We want to want to make an impact in the world. Whether it's their health, financially, or mindset, or personal growth. That's our intention when we do this. And if you're listening to this, we're so happy for you. And like I said, there must be a reason why you got attracted, because all day you think about, I'm thinking about something today. I'm thinking about how can I change the way how can I get the result that some people that I watch on social media, that you're watching this because you've been attracted to this, because you act, you think in a certain way. That's why you're here today.
You know, the funny thing is, Joe, right? And this might sound strange, right? But you know, someday I'm going to be someone, right? You know that saying. You know, someday I'm going to make it. Someday I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to have it all. You know, someday is today. You know, and this is what we're talking about, right? Like if you're thinking in a certain way and acting in a certain way, you've already made it. You've already made it today. Today you've made it. If you can do that again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, you're literally taking steps every day. You're becoming that person. You know, you're growing into that person because of how you're thinking. But you know, when you think, you know, like someday, you know, I'm going to be someone. Well, you're someone today. And if you don't like the person you are today, then you've got to fucking change it. Do you know what I mean? You know, you've got to change yourself. Starts in here. It's in here first, you know, and in here, like, do you know when I first got that, like I was so raw, Joey, like when I was younger, you know, like fucking hell, I would lose my temper like that. Do you know what I mean? I was like so fiery. I know it's probably hard to believe, but that's the way I was. You know, I would just, you know, just freak out. You know, I felt that's the way that I had to be. And the truth is, you know, after reading, you know, after starting, you know, like my first book, you know, my gateway book to, you know, personal development, self-help or whatever, you know, the magic of thinking big, you know, like that book really calmed me down, you know, and, you know, I grew as a person. I literally grew as a person. I remember, you know, there was a guy, he was like a bit of a mentor for me. And he went away. He went away to Thailand to work in Thailand for about 6 months on a big contract, on a big infrastructure contract. And then when he came back, and his wife used to, you know, she used to make Indian cuisine, and it was delicious. And they invited us round, and we went round there. Kate and I, we were up in Manchester at the time, living in Manchester then. Kate had already moved up to go to college, and we'd moved up together, bought a house, and all this kind of stuff. And I remember inviting them around, and those two were like, "Oh my God, you've changed so much," and I'm like, "Thank you." Like, but I literally have. Do you know what I mean? You know, and it didn't take a long time, Joey. You know, because when you start working on yourself and you're focused on improving yourself, and you're growing as a person, you know, you stop reacting and you start responding. You start thinking. You start thinking differently. You know, and you stop accepting, you know, the person that you are, you know, and you start working on the person that you want to be. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a strange thing, but I suppose I don't really like reflecting as such, but I find that when I do, you know, I can actually be inspired by myself, you know, by the person that I've become. You know, like if I was to, you know, what you're talking about, if I look back, I do need to see it at a microscope to see, you know, the person that I was back then. I was like wild, just a wild young man. Do you know what I mean? You know, crazy. You know, like fighting with everybody. You know, literally fighting with everybody. You know, because I honest to God know why. Because, you know, I felt that even though I felt that yes, I was ready for this position and I wanted this position, it was my dream, you know, to be a site agent. I felt that when people looked at me, that, you know, that they didn't think I deserved it. Now, was that me thinking I didn't deserve it? Because no one ever said that to me. You know, that was that inner voice, that voice in my head, giving me doubts about myself. And the way that I acted out was by being angry towards everybody, thinking that that's how I had to, you know, solve that problem. So, you know, like, it's bananas when you start looking back and thinking about, you know, the challenges that you had. A lot of what does Bob Proctor say? You're your biggest problem, and you're also you know, the only person that can solve it. Right? So, but again, it comes down to this ignorance versus knowledge. I didn't know that by reading these books, I didn't really know that that I was growing, but I knew that I wanted to. I knew I liked the person I was becoming. I liked that
Mm,
person better. So that was all about self-confidence. It was all about self-esteem. How I saw myself,
mm.
how I pictured in my mind. But listen, we'll get back to the science of getting rich, right? And we'll watch a little bit more of this. We're on. What are we on? We're on number 3. Let's have a look.
Waddles advises us to be thankful for what we have now. This attitude attracts more good things into our lives. Lesson 4. Use the power of
Attitude of gratitude. Right, one of your favorites, Joey. Talk about it quickly.
Gratitude. I won't be here if there's no. I won't if I don't have gratitude in my life. To be honest, I think God spare me in a lot of ways because I surrender myself. And it's funny, as when I spoke to the church people today, I still remember the day I decided that I'm going to commit my heart to accept the Lord as my Savior back in 2000, February 13 of 2000. And I still remember that. And as a person of faith, no matter where I travel now, where I present the company I represent, the job that I do in the army, I always try to reflect how God worked in my way. And because it's a way of me say, God, I thank you for the breath you gave me every single day. I thank you for the opportunity to put me in Australia, to build my family here. I thank you for allowing me to face the challenge and the adversity of trying to get into the army. And now I'm in the army. I want to make an impact in the army, with every person that I talk to, and it, and we realize a lot of people, they have been become $1 million mindset, have that mindset. They always grateful, they always thoughtful, they always have an attitude to be grateful because they always remember where they come from. And that's one of the things that I do in my journey. I share that I will never forget. Coming from a small island, no electricity, climbing coconut tree, living like life as an adventure every single day, live out of the land and the sea. And here I am in Australia, driving a nice car, having a nice home with the family, having a good job, give back in the form of service to the army and our community and our country. Every day I thank God for the opportunity and the blessing as well. And I knew the more I give back in the form of gratitude to the best, and I believe in also the people that I community with, the country that I live in, the more abundance is coming back to me. And then I think and Grow Rich, Mike, is talk about when riches and abundant prosperity start to coming, you better be prepared for it. And that's
I'm ready.
why
I'm
we
ready.
have to
I'm
we
ready.
have to we have to work on ourselves every single day so that we still humble when we have that success. We still have the gratitude when we experience that lifestyle, that freedom that we've been thinking about it all day long.
It's true, Joe. You do, and that makes so much sense. The attitude of gratitude. Working on yourself. And doing it now, doing things now. We've only covered a couple of things. Thinking a certain way, acting a certain way, attitude of gratitude. Just those 3 things alone could change your life dramatically. But again, there's more to it, right? Let's have a look.
visualization. Imagine yourself already rich. Waddles believes this mental picture helps make your desires a reality. Lesson 5.
Hold on. So for visualization, Joe. So this is, that acting, walking, talking like you're already there, thinking about it in your mind. This is about having your goal card, reading it every day, every morning, every evening, even throughout the day, believing, building that self, that inner belief that to be honest, this is a big part of it, Joe. Like I think it is. I think this visualization, all of these things are important. Imagine you're sitting there, thinking in a certain way, you're acting in a certain way, your, attitude of gratitude, you're grateful for the things you've got. Imagine now that you're visualizing your life 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. What kind of house are you going to be living in? Where are you going to vacation? What kind of car you're going to be driving? How are you going to be, what's your organization look like? What does your portfolio look like? But not just imagining it, but not just thinking it, but feeling it, with gratitude. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have X, Y, and Z. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have this, and visualizing it and seeing it. Like you hear Bob Proctor talking about this. Give me something quick about visualization.
When I study under Proctor and reading the Think and Grow Rich, and also study the science of getting rich, and talk about visualization, imagine yourself, you already have the success, you're already $1 million. And in a funny story, Mark, and I think I've shared that many times with you, I wrote down my code card, and one of the things that I wrote, I want to be the first millionaire in my family. Without having no idea how I can do it. I'm the youngest in the boys of 11 siblings, 7 boys and 4 sisters. I'm the second to the youngest. I have a younger sister. And I knew straight away when I wrote the thing that my limitation thinking was, Joey, how can you become a millionaire in your family? First one to millionaire. Funny enough, fast track, after 6 or 7 years after writing that code card, one of my business partner have a broker, and they want to analyze my portfolio to see if I can make another move in investment world. They look down at my portfolio, all run the data, and my business partner asked me, Joey, what is one of your goals? And I expressed my goal with him, and he said to me, give me something that really, really a goal. Everything you give me, it's look like you already been done it. And I said, I'm embarrassing to share, but one of the goals that I put down in my vision board is I want to be the first millionaire in my family, my whole family. And he said to me, you better go sit down. I'm going to tell you something. He said to me, you already a fucking millionaire. They run through the data, all my asset, and they said, if you sell everything now, you are millionaire. And that's you already have that goal. And it's impressed me because I was writing this goal, have no idea how I can do that, how can I achieve that. But because I already see myself as $1 million guy, $1 million person. And I did that to ego, to express my ego. Ego is edging God out. I don't share this with you and our audience tonight to impress them, but to impress upon them. This is the reality of thinking in a certain way, acting in a certain way. Be grateful, have an attitude of grateful, and visualize. See yourself as the person. Bob Proctor in the video, act, do, show up like the person you want to be, because no one else will give it to you. You already have it within you. You just need to realize that. So
Yeah.
paint that picture every single day. Look at it. Tell them. One of your good friends told me, Mike used to share something with her, and she always look at the mirror and say something about yourself. I'm $1 million man, or whatever. But it remind me, this is the little practice. It sounds silly and sounds simple, because when people saw other people that talking to themselves in the mirror, they think they're crazy, but they're not. We creating our own future between us and the mirror by talking to them and tell them, I will be
Joey,
a
what you're doing
millionaire.
is you're talking it into existence.
Mm.
You literally talk it into existence, and you're convincing yourself that this is happening, right? And I think that when you believe it, when you believe it, you know, all the little pieces all come together. The little pieces come together. Do you know what I mean? When the
Mm.
student's ready, the teacher appears, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's been so much. I can't remember. Something happened to me earlier this week, and it was like, how the hell did that happen? Do you know what I mean? You know, and it was like something that I've been thinking about, and then all of a sudden, you know, this thing just moved into my world. I'm like, that's not normal. Do you know what I mean? In fact, I was thinking about a customer, and then she rang me. Right, I was only thinking about it. I've not heard from this customer in months, and then she sent me a text message, and I said I was only thinking about you. She said, "Oh, I believe in all that kind of stuff. You know, the one consciousness, or the how the mind is powerful and how we're all connected and everything." I says, "Yeah, I kind of get that." And then she started talking about something else. I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "But something came into my YouTube channel today, which I'd never seen before. You know, I don't think it was for me. I think it was for you." And I sent it to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, I don't believe this. Like, where's this come from?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you know, it's just the
Yeah.
weirdest thing, right?" But I was actually thinking about that person, because, you know, we've got a girl that works down there who messaged me and said, "Look, I can't do this job." But then we had another girl, and she said she could do it. And I was thinking, and I just said to this girl, "Well, look, I'm so sorry you can't do any more for us. I know that Connie, this is the customer, Connie is going to miss you so much the next time she books in." And an hour later, Connie messaged me to book in. Do you know what I mean? It's like almost I put the thought out there, and Connie was like, "Oh yeah, I need to book something," and messaged me. You know, so, you know, like, there's no doubt that visualization, talking it into existence, you know, especially, you know, when you're visualizing something, especially with emotion, like when I think about coming to Australia, you know, and being on stage with you and having a group of people, maybe, you know, 10,000 people, you know, and we're doing a conference or something like this, and I'm thinking, that's, you know, and like in my mind, it's done. I can feel it. I can feel the energy on stage. Do you know what I mean? I can see you standing, you know, hosting and emceeing and all this kind of stuff. I can see it, you know? So, you know, like, I believe that's going to happen. It's just a matter, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But I believe it's going to happen. So, you know, I think all that stuff is important. Right, let's have a quick listen, see what else we can come up with here.
Avoid competitive thinking. Instead of trying to beat others, focus on creating new wealth. Waddle says there's enough for everyone. Lesson 6, desire is important.
Hold on, just 1 second, Joe. Yeah, this competitive versus creative, this is a big deal. This one, you know, is worth studying for anybody, right? You know, because once you move out of that competitive thinking, you know, where you're trying to just beat everybody else, like, you're a perfect example. Like, you're not trying to beat everybody else. You're trying to build everybody else. Do you know what I mean? That's creative thinking. You know, by building others, you know, you grow along with that growth. Do you know what I mean? Like, as your organization grows, you grow. As your organization grows, as your portfolio grows, you know, you grow, you know, financially, you know, as well as, you know, mentally, spiritually, you know, but you're not trying to keep others down. That competitive edge is to force other people down, keep people down. But, you know, your world isn't like that. Your world, and it's the same for my world, is you want people to flourish, you want people to grow. You know, when people come into my business, you know, I always say, look, you know, there's going to come a day when you're going to leave, you know, and I'm going to encourage you. You know, I want to get to know you. I want to find out what it is that you really want, what your ambitions are, you know, because if opportunities come along, you know, I want you to be able to take them. Do you know what I mean? I don't want you to be here for 10 years and then be like, "Oh my God, you ruined my life by keeping me doing this job." I don't want that for you. I want you to be the best. I want you to have the best that you can have, you know? But in that moment, when you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, I'm going to have to ring Mike and tell him that I can't do this anymore," you know, it's in that moment when you ring me that we can just be friends. That's it. We can just be friends after that. Do you know what I mean? Because I want people to succeed. I want people to grow. I want people to live the life that they want. But while they're here working for my organization, I want them to be the best version of themselves, and I want them to be personally responsible. You know, and that's all I ask. But, you know, that creative thinking, I think that's so useful, especially when you're talking about thinking in a certain way and acting in a certain way. Because that creative thinking, if you're thinking from a creative perspective rather than a competitive one, your actions are always going to be in line with that. your thoughts are always going to be in line with that creativeness, as opposed to trying to, hurt someone, dismiss someone, keep someone down, or whatever it is, because your creative thinking will be to, well, how do they win and how do I win? How do we make it a win-win situation for everybody? And that's what we want. I think that's the way it should be. I think it should be a win-win for everybody. Like there should be no compromise. You shouldn't be compromised, and I shouldn't be compromised. We should both be winning. How do we create something where we all win together? And that's what it's about. And that's the beauty of the industries that we're in my opinion. Right? Okay. What was the next one?
Having a strong desire for wealth is good, not greedy. Waddles teaches that this desire drives us to create value for others. Lesson 7. Use your willpower, direct your thoughts and actions towards your goals. Waddles says this focused energy helps achieve success. Lesson 8. Live in the present. While planning for the future is...
Hold on. So I had to get all these down, right? So we just covered 6, 7, and 8. So 6 was all about desire, right? Now that desire, that really does go well, in my opinion, Joe, with gratitude. Now I'm going to get you to wind all this up in a minute. That desire goes well with gratitude. We talked about this before. Be grateful for what you have doesn't mean you have to settle for what you've got. You can be grateful for it, but you don't have to settle. Willpower. We're talking about discipline. We heard Jim Rome talk about discipline. We heard Bob Proctor talking about discipline. Having an idea, being able to, carry out on your own conviction, making a committed decision, and then having the discipline to see it through. That's what willpower is. Living in the moment. Being in the moment. Like Bob talks about, you can't do tomorrow's work today. I'm not sure what Bob talks about. I can't think about who says that. But you can't. You can only do today's work today. You can only do what you've got today. When you see Bob, talking with his hourglass, he's saying you've only got this moment here. What's in the past is in the past. You can't do anything about it. What's going to happen up here, you don't really know. We've only got this moment here. That's all we've got. So all of this stuff makes a lot of sense. So when you start putting all this together, if you're in the moment, thinking in a certain way, acting in a certain way, with an attitude of gratitude, visualizing, even what the next hour might bring, and it might just be, how you're going to conduct yourself with your wife or your partner, your relationships, whatever else, and you're coming from a creative perspective. How can you make things better, not worse? How can you leave people with an impression of increase, as you talk about a lot, and you're doing it with a desire for success, with the discipline. And sometimes discipline is about being able to keep your mouth shut too. Do you know what I mean? Not reacting to certain things, but responding in a certain way. And of course, living in the moment. Like, bloody hell. Like, if you were able to get those few things down, your life would be fucking amazing. Wouldn't it? Right. You're going to wind up. Hold on. We're going to get your thoughts on all of this in a minute. Right. But let's try and get to the end of this. Right. Hold on.
Good. Waddles advises living fully in the present. Do your best work now. Lesson 9. Avoid worry and fear. Negative emotions block success. Waddles encourages replacing worry and fear with confidence and faith. Lesson 10. Grow in every way. Seek to improve yourself constantly. Waddles believes personal growth leads to greater success and wealth.
That's it. Right. Hold on a second. Grow in every way. Personal growth. Now, there is a little video, right, that I want to, we've got time, right? We've got time, and then we'll wind up. Now, this is all about you, and you'd actually already mentioned this, right? You actually brought this up earlier. So I'm going to play this video, and then, because we've been talking about the mindset, right? So the how to think, right? The millionaire mindset. And in The Science of Getting Rich, I recommend anyone should read that book, as well as Think and Grow Rich. So, the 10 actions there: think in a certain way, act in a certain way, attitude of gratitude, visualization, creative thinking, desire, willpower, discipline, live in the moment, avoid worry, fear, confidence, self-esteem, think in those kind of terms. We were talking about that already. Grow every way. And of course, Bob Proctor talks about that, in health, happiness, and wealth. You know, if you're growing in those three areas in life, you're doing all right. You know, if one of those things is out, you're off balance. So, you know, now that could be every way. I'm not saying it is, but there could be more ways. But, you know, health, happiness, and wealth, yeah, everything in your life is going to fit into one of those categories. You know, your relationships, you know, your finances, you know, your job, whatever, your family, they're all going to fit into one of those categories. But then, so that's how to think about it, right? And this is certainly for the industry that we're in. This is a little video here, which, you know, might give some insight in where to apply that thinking, right? Where you might want to apply it. You know, if you're looking for growth, if you're looking for building your business, I don't care what your business is, could be any business, right? So have a watch of this.
Capacity that you're trying to build something, and you're going to tell me that you do not have time to create content, to build brand, and to grow your business. I don't even know what you're doing. Every single thing that you are sitting here on the ground or in a seat hoping and dreaming could happen can happen because of this. The only thing that's stopping you is your mental perspective or your lack of knowledge on how to do it. The single greatest opportunity in the world for people to change the outcome of how they live or how their business is doing is called organic social media. This is an opportunity that has never existed in the history of mankind, and we are all sitting here on our hands not doing enough. Content creation and being effective and efficient with your time are like literally two of the four most important things for 90% of this room that are trying to build something where 99% of things fail. Our grandparents did not have this. We are the lucky generation. The problem is most of you are not fully taking advantage of it. My ambition for my personal brand, Gary Vee, is that on May 1st, I will be posting organically on 9 platforms, 57 different handles, and posting over 400 pieces of organic content a day. There is no logical reason for a human or a business to not be posting on this era of social media as much content as they possibly can produce every single day.
So, Joe, that's one way where you can apply it, where you can apply this, you know, millionaire mindset. And, you know, because, you know, action is part of the process, you know. We're all in a results business, you know, like, you know, obviously we do a lot, you know, like we have a content calendar where we're pushing out stuff every day. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, what he's saying there, you've got to do more. I don't want to do any, right? Thank God I don't, we have people who do it for us, but like, it's not the point, you know. But from the perspective of a personal brand, you're very good at this, right? And we'll just show people because we can, right? So from the perspective, why is that not adding? Hold on. Add, no, remove, hold on. Add, share this. No, share, yeah. So, you know, when you think about, look, 8 hours ago was the last time you posted, look, right? And you put out a lot of content. You're doing something every day. Studying Australia and New Zealand. Dream Australia. Okay. More stuff. Dream education. Love it. Look, more posting, more pictures, more videos, more seminars, more education. You know, look, more people. Right? You gotta love it. Look, you know, so you're doing that. You know, you're already doing these things. So you are, in essence, you know, already doing a lot of the things that we've kind of covered here, this millionaire mindset. You're already practicing these things. So what I want you to do, Joe, is, you know, give us your final thoughts on the, you know, the $1 million mindset. And of course, you know, what are we doing? We're asking Joey, the $1 million difference maker, Maka Unga, right? To, you know, tell us all, and yeah, you know, your wisdom in what we can be doing, how we can be doing things better, and how applying these things like thinking in a certain way, acting a certain way, attitude of gratitude, visualization, creative thinking, desire, willpower, discipline, being in the moment. I think that's a big one for me, you know.
Mm.
And of course, you know, avoiding worry and fear, being confident, facing these challenges head on with confidence and discipline, and growing in every way. So, give us your final thoughts, John.
Mike, thank you very much for the opportunity. I want you to drop that little video of the science summary of the science in getting rich in the chat. I want to hear that maybe every morning, because today is the $1 million mindset and think like the wealth too. And I'm so grateful. Mike is a visionary. He always sees something that will add value to our journey. And I think if you can master the 10 step that we uh, s- hear and saw today on the summary of the science of getting rich by, what's the name, Mike? Walter, the author? Wallace D. Waddles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So uh, Mike will drop the link somewhere in our post so that you can watch the do. Repetition is the mother of all learning. Listen to it every morning when you wake up, and also listen to it before you go to bed. I'm telling you from our experience, myself and Mike McKillian, if you watch this video, listen to this video, maybe 30 days or make it 90 days. 30 days, you will see the change in your life. Make it 30 days, you will see something explode in your journey. And it's so true. It's all start from what we think about it. What we plant, the seed, the thoughts, the ideas that we plant in our mind, and we act on it, it will change the direction of your journey. And there's a lot of things, think in a certain way, act in a certain way, be thankful, have the attitude of gratitude, visualization, see yourself already have what you really want in life, see yourself already have the success, see yourself already speak on stage and talk about that. That's what Mike remind me when we start have our friendship. He sees something in me that one day I will be speaking in the in state of our company. And honestly, I didn't believe in myself, but I take his belief in me and work on myself every single day, even silly stuff by washing my teeth in the morning, and I look at the mirror straight in the eyes and I said, because I have fear. But Bob Proctor used to say, to face your fear, just look at the fear straight in the eyes. And I look at the mirror and I said, you're going to be a millionaire one day. And you're going to help a lot of people, make an impact all over the world. And you're going to speak all over the world. And you're going to help transform a lot of people. You can help a lot of people, free a lot of people from their physical and financial pain. Did I know I'm going to do it? Hell no. It was easy? Hell no. But I follow what other people do. Robert Kiyosaki talk about the word OPE and OPM. OPM use other people money or other people money. OPE stands for other people experiences. And here's those people that they come up with the philosophy because they've been practice that, they live by it, and they show up consistently like Gary Vee doing it. Every single day, they create something. I sound like Bob Proctor on this one. You know that you and I are co-creator. God is our main creator and we are the co-creator. God put us in this world so that we can create abundance and prosperity for ourselves and for others. And you have a reason to be in this world. Like I said, you are watching this because there's a reason why you want to watch this one. Because you want to grow more, do more, be more, act more. You want to become more in life, give more in life, or do more in life than you could imagine. And if you follow what we share with you tonight and share with you tonight, you will experience abundance prosperity. You know, like I said, we are co-creator. You can create exactly what you really want in life. If you want to become healthy, start thinking about healthy. Start thinking about showing up every day, you know, happy, healthy, wealthy, and you will become on it. And start doing something. You know, show up, do, you know, simple discipline do every single day will make a big difference in your life. You know, start reading, start walking, start, you know, sharing, start teaching other people, start giving, and you see a big change in your life. You know, like I said, if you can master those 10 secret of signs of getting rich, you will come back and share with us the changes happen in your life. You know, the good thing about when you change, not only the impact it show up in your life, but the people, your family, your loved ones, your friendship, the people that you surround yourself. People will see the change in you and they wonder what make Mike change, but they have no idea you decided. You make a committed decision. I'm gonna do this no matter what, because I'm worthy, I'm capable, I'm deserving the abundance and prosperity. I'm deserving the success in life, and I'm gonna show up every single day, no matter what. You know, and we say yes, and we'll tell the world, and we go and figure it out. And figure it out, you know, come through knowledge, and knowledge come through study, reading, and get help from other people that already done it before, OPE, other people experience, or listen to this podcast repeatedly, because you never know the video that we share tonight will make a impact in your life. And when it change someone, you know, the benefit of when you change, it's ripple effect. It's impact other people. And the people like myself and Mike, when we realize the abundance and prosperity of life that we've been through because we practice the $1 million mindset and live by how other people, wealthy people live, we we experience abundance and prosperity and success. And guess what will happen? We don't want to keep it to ourselves because we know for the legacy and for our name to show up in other people's testimony, we have to do one thing. We have to pay it forward. And tonight is our pay it forward to you. You know, go start it. Listen, watch to that episode repeatedly for 30 days. I'm telling you, the strangest secret, talk about it. You will become who you think about all day long. You know, it's a wonderful episode tonight, 136. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that I see myself and Mike McKillian being an impact, being a different maker to your life. And if you can go out and start yourself, willing to learn, willing to live by positive and faith instead of worry and fear, grow yourself, learn to develop yourself every single day. Your personal development, it will reflect on the result you have. You reflect on the financial or result you have in life. You know, there's a lot of people are happy and satisfied with the amount of salary they experience in their everyday job, and that's okay. But it's know when you know you were designed to be more in life and successful and be who you want to become in life, you never satisfy. You happy with what we already got, but you knew I can do more, I can earn more, I can live more, I can contribute more, I can live a lifestyle more than beyond what I have now. So our encouragement for you tonight, go back to that summary of the science of getting rich. You study it repeatedly, listen to it repeatedly when you woke up, when you go to bed, before you go to bed, because in 30 days, you will see the change in your mindset, the way you act, the way you feel, and the result you have in life. Hey, I love you all. This is Joye Maka Unga here from Sydney, Australia, and my good friend Mike McKillian, all the way from England, from Ireland. Pardon me. And we're so thankful for your time that you take to take a look at our episode and our work, because we want to make a contribute to this world. We want to free people from their physical and financial pain with the opportunity that the company we represent and the opportunity we will share with you. Because if you decided to work with us, we want to support you fully 100%. We want to see you success in life. We want to see you uplifting from the level that you're currently in to the success that you really deserve in life. Mike McGinn, over to you to the studio, and thank you very much for the opportunity to run up our program for tonight. You muted.
Oh, rookie mistake. You see, look, no one's perfect, right? But listen, thank you, Joey. I was kind of laughing to myself here, when you were talking and you were saying, you attract what you are type thing. And I was thinking, like when I was younger, like I used to think, I'm surrounded by fucking arseholes. I must have been one of them. That's how crazy it is, isn't it? Like you attract what you are. So if you're surrounded by idiots, maybe you're an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you're attracting what you are. So that makes total sense. We were watching something there a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was Onassis. He said if he lost all his money, he would go and hang out where all the wealthy people hung out. Do you know what I mean? That's where he would hang out because you'd just get rubbing off on their vibes and stuff like this. So that makes so much more sense. You attract what you are. So if you don't like what you are, you need to go and find a new group of friends, maybe. Like Bob talked about this. You'd be sitting in a bar. You were sitting in Penthouse Bar or what was it, the Playboy Club in London, looking around, thinking everybody's a bum. It's like, well, I must be a bum.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're all guilty of it. But anyway, listen, don't forget, look, you can find Joey. Let me share where you can find him. You can find Joey. You can find Joey on Facebook. Let me see. Yeah, on Facebook, Joye Maka Unga. Go and find him. In fact, the link is in the description, but there it is on screen. You can also find him, on his business website, here. Again, you can just go and check that out, find out what he's doing. Contact form is at the bottom. Just fill it out and let him know a good time to call, and you can learn more about what Joey's doing here. You can know it's Joey's website because you can see his name at the top here. Look. Okay, so go and check that out. And of course, let me see. Me, you can probably find here. This is where you're going to find me. You're going to find me on our petsofthesisland.com/academy website, where we're teaching people to start their own business. And of course, one of the best things about this is that you just get to keep every penny that you earn. I love the idea of this. And it's just going to be beautiful. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot of fun. And again, you can click on the Contact Us button. And of course, it'll bring you to this call where you can book a call with me. Join the Pets of the Island team. You're in control. Set up a WhatsApp video call. I love doing a WhatsApp video call with people. You're in total control. So look, check all that out. And, but Joey and I are super happy to help. That's all our intentions are, is to help. Look, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If I don't think that you're right for it, I'll be the first to tell you. I'm sure Joey will be the same. And look, it should be a fun thing to do. If it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Right? That's why it's important that you do something that you're passionate about, right? So even if we can't do this stuff for you, but we can guide you and tell you as to whether this is right or wrong for you, regardless of what kind of industry or business that you're looking at. But you want to find something that you're truly passionate about, something that you're going to enjoy doing, something that that you can apply these things to. And then the other stuff that Gary Vee was talking about, you can build that personal brand, through content, social media, and things like this. These are just simple ways of doing it, and that stuff is free, Joey. Do you know what I mean? Like it's worth doing it. But again, listen, thank you for watching. You've been obviously watching Freedom of Health and Lifestyle, episode 136, $1 Million Mindset. Think like the wealthy do. I've learned some stuff here today. I've learned a lot. Obviously, I'm attracting people like Joey now into my life, which is much better. Do you know what I mean? Which means that I'm not an arsehole.
Likewise.
That's way better. Right. See you next week. And we're going to play out with my favorite video. It could be Joey's too. The link in the description for the summary, or the link is in the comments or the chat for the summary. So you can get that there. And of course, just reach out if you want me to send you the actual link. Send me a DM or something like that. Happy to send it to you. Right. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Cheers.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.